Large intestine, absorption of water and defecation. After digestion and absorption of the food, enter into the cecum from ileum. Ileum is the last part of the small intestine. From ileum, the food is entered into another part that is called cecum. The large intestine is having the three parts: cecum, colon, rectum. Cecum is a pouch-like structure. It's form a T junction with small intestine, and it's the opening and the point from where the food from the small intestine is entering into the large intestine. The second part of the large intestine is the colon. It is also divided as a ascending colon, transfer colon, or descending colon. The main function of the large intestine is the absorption of water and electrolytes and storage of undigested material until expelled from the body as a feces. So basically, feces
Large
are removing
intestine.
from the body.
The function of the large intestine is to absorb fluids and salts from the indigestible food matter and to collect and eventually relieve the body of waste matter. This tutorial will go over some anatomical features specific to the large intestine, as well as discussing its different segments. To finish up the tutorial, we'll talk about a few pathological disorders which are related to the large intestine. To begin this tutorial, we will describe the different sections of the large intestine. If we go through the length of the large intestine from left to right, we can see several sections. The large intestine is divided into the cecum with its vermiform appendix, the ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, the sigmoid colon, and the rectum and anal canal. The first part of the large intestine that we'll talk about is the cecum. This is an intraperitoneal pouch-like structure that is about 7.5 centimeters in diameter. It is usually in contact with the anterior abdominal wall and sometimes may cross the pelvic brim to lie in the true pelvis. In the superior bordom of the cecum, we can see this invagination, known as the ileocecal valve or the ileopapilla. This structure is located just in the opening between the small and large intestine. This valve prevents reflux from the cecum to the ileum and regulates the passage of contents from the ileum to the cecum. In the next image, we can see the terminal portion of the ileum prior to the ileocecal junction. In addition, in the lateral wall of the cecum, we can see this fold of peritoneum, which is part of the mesentery. This large fan-shaped double-layered fold of peritoneum connects the jejunum and the ileum to the posterior abdominal wall and its inferior end. As you can see in the top right image, it lies at the ileocecal junction. The second part of the large intestine we will talk about today is the vermiform appendix. The vermiform appendix is a narrow, hollow and blind-ended 4-inch tubular intraperitoneal structure. It arises from the posteromedial side of the cecum, and it has large aggregations of lymphoid tissue in its walls. If you look carefully here near its base, it's suspended from the terminal ileum by its mesenteric fold, which is known as the mesoappendix, and which contains the appendicular blood vessels. Another important point to remember here is that although the point of attachment to the cecum is rather stable, the location of the rest of the appendix varies considerably.
This video is not over yet. Continue watching now the full video at
From colon, water is absorbed into the blood. As water is absorbed, the solid remains of the food are called feces. Feces mainly consists of the undigested material. Feces are temporarily stored in the rectum for some time. So the rectum is a storage point for some time, which opens out through anus. Under the normal conditions, when the rectum is filled up with feces, It gives rise to a reflex, and anus is open for defecation. This reflex is consciously inhibited in adults, but in infants it is controlled involuntary. During growth, child learns to bring this reflex under voluntary control. So this is all about the large intestine. The main function of the large intestine is absorption of water and defecation. One very good fact about the large intestine: many bacteria lives in colon. They produce vitamin K, which is necessary for the coagulation of the blood. So this is all about large intestine. And finally, the undigested feces is pushed to anus due to reflex, and anus is open for defecation. And the body is get rid of waste. This is all about digestion in alimentary canal.